Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Smith Vocational Agricultural High School regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Today's Tuesday, July 29th. And I'd like to ask for a call to order.
Mr. Paley?
Present.
Mr. Quadro? Dr. Spencer Robinson?
Here.
Dr. Bonner?
Here.
Mayor Shara?
Thank you. Will you stand for the pledge of allegiance? The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. The mission of Smith Vocational and Agricultural High School is to provide students with an education that equips them to be professional adults with a high level of expertise, knowledge, and competence in their field, creative and impactful members of their chosen vocations and their communities, and effective communicators who value diversity of thought, experience, and cultural backgrounds.
Thank you. Is there any participation by the public this evening? No. Participation by the trustees?
Yes, I'd like to provide an update on the Collaborative for Educational Services. I represent Smith Vocational on the board there. Todd Gazda, the executive director, resigned effective July 15th. He's now the interim principal at Chester Elementary School. Karen Reuter, who was the deputy director, is now the interim executive director, and she is not interested in applying for the permanent position. I'm part of a working group to begin the search process for a new executive director. We met to determine the requirements for contracting with an organization to conduct the search, identify those to invite a bid submission from, and we will make the recommendation for our selection to the CES board at a meeting in late August. We've requested that the search firm interview CES stakeholders, including board members and superintendents, as part of their process. The tentative timeline is to conclude the search by the end of the calendar year with the new executive director to begin in January.
Thank you very much. I just want to welcome everybody this evening on this hot weather that everybody has been going through. A lot of work I've observed, the new sidewalk being put in on here, the interior being done, and the staff didn't stop for the summer like some people, but I want to congratulate them, Joe, and if you would pass that on, that they're doing a heck of a job. The school looks great. Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the June 10th, 25 Board of Trustees meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to have a presentation of the Northampton Open Meeting. Welcome.
Thanks. My name's Al Williams. I'm the executive.
Stand that?
Sure. I can stand. My name's Al Williams. I'm the executive director of Northampton Open Media. So I'm here today just to talk to you about some different options that are available to you for expanding and improving coverage of these meetings. There are two major options that are available to you. One, which is something that I think I'd recommend as sort of a beginning trial, would be something called a meeting owl. These are just simple units. They're roughly the size of that cup right over there. They would have to go onto a table that would be in the middle of these tables that you have right here. That meeting owl automatically detects voices around it, and it segments. It's essentially a number of cameras. It's two 180-degree cameras sandwiched together with the scene in the middle. And so they react to voices and box in those people who are talking. In other words, they will zoom in on whoever is speaking in that moment and make that image larger and more prominent. If someone else starts speaking at the same time, that will also segment the screen automatically and make that person larger as well. So it's a very reactive system. It runs itself. The reason I say you could start with that unit, I mean, in a lot of situations like the Northampton School Committee, for instance, or the City Council, that's not a viable solution because people are not, this is a smaller group than those. So the meeting owl may suffice. It's much easier than the second option, what I will talk about. You do need a laptop to run it, so you'll need to add a laptop to the system, and the most common way it's run is through Zoom. Now, I don't know if your intention is to open up and hybridize these meetings, in other words, to allow the public to attend remotely, but it would be extremely easy to do using that system. You don't have to, you could start a Zoom meeting and not have anyone attended and still run the meeting out through Zoom and use it as the device to record that meeting. But it will have to be paired with a laptop that you could sit on the table with it or on one of these things. I've had meetings with an owl in like a situation like this, and I think it may work. So you could try that out. We have meeting owls already, and we could bring one in and set one up for a meeting, and you could run it and then take a look and see how it feels for you. You could also display it on that screen behind you, so the public could see what's happening with it. That's an option for you as well. Aside from that, what the solution would be installing what are called PTZ cameras. PTZ stands for pan, tilt, zoom. Okay, they're robotic cameras. And we put a number of cameras in the room. We probably put one on this wall here, hang one from the ceiling here, possibly hang one from the ceiling over there, so you have a couple of different angles. The setups we have inside of our government meeting areas currently, the way they work is there's always one live camera, so anyone could come in here and have a meeting with that live camera. Just in a wide shot of the group. We buy wireless mics for the table, so everyone would have their own microphone. You probably would want to identify a space nearby to have what's called a control room, and that's where sort of the guts of running the system are. Meaning, if you have someone operating those cameras, that's where the control unit would be for the person running those cameras. For the microphones, for adjusting microphones, we run the microphones through what's called an auto mixer, so it would largely handle a lot of those audio levels itself. But so I don't know what's available in terms of space around there, but you would want to run cables to a space and have control. It's a more involved option, it's a more expensive option, and then if you really want to utilize it to its fullest capacity, it would involve somebody running the actual program. Now that could be staff from Northampton Open Media. That could also be a Smith Folk student if you wanted to start a program in the school doing that kind of work. And that's an interesting conversation, I think, we could have more generally about whether Smith Folk have interest in sort of expanding into multimedia, because that's something we would be willing to support. We're currently, the city, when I say we, really it's the city, is currently negotiating the new cable contract. So we're funded through a negotiation that the city holds roughly every 10 years. That's the typical length of a contract, and they negotiate for funds that come out of cable television revenues, and that's how we are funded in Northampton Open Media. So as part of that process, we put together a capital list. That capital list is equipment to furnish these kind of government firms. Any questions?
I think it's interesting as far as the owl camera, that you're right, it's a small meeting, and we don't get a lot of public attendance, but at the same time, it's been brought forward to us about having accessibility for the public.
Yes.
To be able to see our meetings and possibly have some interaction. So that's what we're pursuing. And Leslie, do you have any questions on that?
Can I ask a couple questions?
Oh, please.
So I did have a question about if the owl would capture public comment. And then a follow-up question, or a sort of related question is, I'm on the board of the collaborative. Do you happen to know what system they use there?
I don't.
I meant to ask and I forgot to. The camera does seem to track. It's their hybrid meetings, and it's a large group that's there, and also online. And it does seem to track the speaker, and it segments the screen like you were talking about with the owl. But what is unfortunate that happens sometimes is it will get stuck on a person who was previously talking, and it is just focused on that person, I think for, I don't know, half an hour or so, and so that poor person doesn't that she didn't happen to realize that she was on camera.
Sure.
And she's not talking,
Yeah.
and she's just being watched, and the people who were talking were in different parts of the room.
Yeah.
They didn't ever show up. You couldn't see them, it was just like zoomed in on this one person
Yeah.
for a long time. So I was curious if that's kind of a glitch with either of these approaches.
Not that we've run into. We've run into other glitches, but haven't run into that particular glitch. And that, so the meeting owl is a brand for this of a unit, but there's a lot of CanDAO is another one that's really popular. There's a number of different manufacturers of these units. Some work better than others. I can't really speak to what the collaborative is using, but I know our meeting owl, we have the latest version of the meeting owl, and it's been great for us. And it's never gotten stuck on anyone.
Okay.
That's never happened, and it wouldn't happen with the PTC system.
Great.
Okay.
And what about the public comment?
So for public comment, what I would recommend is I would suggest probably putting another table here, having people come up to an area for public comment. And the reason being is, like, the biggest factor here is the audio. And you want people to be heard. And the farther someone is away, it really is not good for good audio. So if you could have like a small table here, people could come up to comment. At the Northampton School Committee, they have a lectern. People come up to the lectern. City Council, similarly, they have a lectern as well. So it would just be a designated area close in, and the owl should be, that's what I would recommend.
Would capture it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for sure.
At UMass Amherst, they use the OWL system,
Yeah.
and I have not heard what you just said. So that's interesting. Thank you.
That's what everything.
Couple comments. So if, with the OWL, you can participate by Zoom, so it can be on Zoom.
Yep.
That means it can be posted up on YouTube a lot faster than it.
Yeah, so the file, so the workflow we would have is you record the meeting inside of Zoom, and then you just essentially deliver us the meeting that same night. We have a drop email address where you can send it, and a number of committees in the city use that sort of methodology, and they certainly go up faster that way.
I appreciate being able to see those
Yeah.
meetings
Yeah.
right away.
Um,
And what would the timing be for PTZ?
So someone will be operating those PTZ meetings as well and just grab that file right away. Both of these systems will go a lot faster because we have to physically come. I mean, you could pull them off of, you could also speed this process up. We probably could speed this up if someone would just want to upload these cards and pull the cards, but usually it's a staff thing.
Yeah, I did go through that.
Yeah.
Training.
Right, that's right.
So, and the other thing for the board to consider is, and you're aware of this too, is that, there are periodic agriculture commission meetings in here. You could have other meetings in here, and maybe even boost the rental fee or something if for whatever system you have,
Yeah, the Zoom would live here. I mean, the OWL would live here. Either system would live here. That's another reason to have a designated room, probably, just to keep stuff in. But
Thank you very much.
I guess my question is more around the technology as sort of the one sharing the report up on the screen.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of walk me through? I understand Zoom. I understand I can share a screen through Zoom. Does it make more sense to have Zoom through, as an example, my laptop and I'm controlling Zoom and sharing my screen, or does it make more sense to have a separate laptop and that separate laptop is truly the Zoom tied to the OWL? I just want to say that the ease and the flow of the meeting without me having to keep going back and forth and messing something up.
I think the best thing to do is to have someone who's in charge of running the Zoom meeting as part of the meeting, whoever that is in the room, and that person can, because if you're inviting the public in, you also want somebody if you're letting people in, or if people are Zoom bombing you, or whatever is going on, you just want someone who that's their task, and they can be specialized in it, and they can get acclimated to it. And then you can always share. You can be on that Zoom meeting, and you can share your screen to the Zoom meeting, right? And when you do that, it will display on the screen. So.
Who does it at
So
the MPS?
our clerk,
the clerk of the committee
So
does it,
it would
so
be-
it would be,
Would be a
in this
case.
case, yeah. And, it can be a little onerous
Yeah.
until you get used to it, to try to maintain, allowing people to come in to the Zoom room and then managing taking notes.
She's taking notes too, yeah.
Exactly, it becomes, quite a bit.
Yeah.
It does become a lot to manage both. But usually, the other piece too is that the school committee members, they all are given access to be, like the host of, so that when they speak, people can hear and visual. When you want to control, you just want to control what happens on Zoom. We have Zoom mostly in our subcommittees. They love the subcommittees. It's really cheap.
Is there a way to toggle between when the participants can be viewed and seen for public and then shut it off?
So we
Like we
you
go to
can
DESI
control
meetings
that.
and we can't be seen, right? We can't see each other.
You can
But we know
control
we're on.
that. But only the time when someone may want to make a public comment that's on the Zoom, then we give them access to be able to display themselves and to speak. And yes, that's in the Zoom system, you can control that.
And then you have a Zoom account, right? So you need a Zoom account as well. And also, just there's a cap on how much you can store on your Zoom account. So you probably want to have some good policy around how you manage that as well. Somebody to pay attention to that as well. Because I know in the city, at one point that happened to the city at large. They ran out of space on Zoom at one point, and it was no real need.
But once the file is shared with Northampton Open Media, would it be a need to maintain a file here? It's already on your system.
Not for me. So probably not. But you just probably want to verify. So the way our system works also is that when we put a file up on YouTube, there's are you aware of archive.org? Is anyone aware of that? So there's a archive.org is the only official online library. Okay, so there's an automated process from archive.org that looks at our YouTube page all the time, and it pulls content, anything we put on our YouTube, and it uploads it to archive.org. So that's our sort of that's our archive process. They aren't minutes. They don't take the place of minutes. That's another
I know,
question.
it's a shame.
Yes,
They
it
really
is.
do need to update
Yes.
the open meeting laws and
Yeah.
how things are available to the public, because we're in a new day and age. We're writing minutes and you have an actual videotaping of them.
And I think the state is, that's a question, this conversation the state has been having for some time as well. There's a lot of questions around smaller communities, how can they afford to meet these technological needs, et cetera. So there's complexity.
I approached you, I think, probably a few years ago,
Yeah.
thanks to the request from the union
Yep.
before the board. And so I appreciate that recognition of the benefit to the board of, at least having our meetings recorded and available to the public. And we're talking about taking it to another level, and thanks to the union again for that. And you all were so responsive and so supportive and so flexible, and I really appreciate that. It's just really terrific to live in a community that where I had that kind of experience, that responsiveness, and again here tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks.
So moving next on, we'll have our principal's report.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to begin by highlighting in the end of June 25th, 26th, we sent a group to MAVA's Connecting for Success conference, which is in Marlborough, Mass. Some key highlights I want to talk about. One, the keynote speaker, Captain Barrington Irvin. It was just an excellent keynote. He was a gentleman who came out of the inner city and had met a pilot when he was a teenager and had never really thought of himself potentially as being a pilot as a black youth, and he met this black pilot and he struck up a mentor relationship with him that lasted, I don't know if the pilot's still alive, I should ask her, but it lasted for decades and really encouraged him to go. And he also highlighted a teacher who he had said had been pretty tough on him and said basically told him either get after it or stop thinking about it and move on. And so he got after it. And his big message was around persistence, resiliency, and then giving back. So what he's really done has turned around, and he's created a lot of educational materials and curriculum, travels around, and his organization supports and holds competitions for students to actually build things. So the elementary or middle school students, build a race car. Then another group built an airplane, and he flew it. And so he would work with them and help oversee it, and has given out scholarships and a lot of other things. So it was pretty motivating being in the 2-day conference, listening to him. But I do also want to highlight some of our staff members: Janessa Daniels, Joe Brewer, Austin Sipoy, and Josh Clark, who were presenters at the conference. And I also want to highlight Melanie Chartier, who is a member of the MAVA Planning Committee. For that, she's been on that for a number of years now, and she works with them to help plan all the professional developments and trainings that take place. And as you can imagine, that's a year-long effort. So we're happy to have her be a part of that. Just highlighting some of the summer mailings and dates that have gone out from the main office. Enrollment update. So our current enrollment, we're at 586. We had hoped to be higher than that, but I will say that we had some students return back to districts, and we had a few move out of district that were seniors. A couple moved out of district that were seniors. So our senior class is down to 142. Our juniors are 149, sophomores 149. The freshmen are currently 146, but we have a long enough wait list that we don't expect that to not hit 150. So for all intents and purposes, you can add another 4 students to that. So we should start the year around 590. And potentially backfill into sophomore and junior year 1 student each. So we're expecting to be 590, 592 the start of the school year. We're at 456 tuitions. We budgeted 455, so we are right on the edge. Yes, sir.
You made a comment that some seniors moved out.
Out of district, yeah.
So can you comment on that? What do you think is going on?
Their families moved to other communities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That
So
they
they weren't
decided this wasn't the right place?
They couldn't stay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. They've gone through 3 years, in their 4th year, they decide this isn't the right place, but,
Right.
okay,
But
thank you.
You did say some went back to their sending districts, right?
They went back to
Not
other.
of the seniors,
Yeah,
but
that's, we had a sophomore and a junior. Yeah.
2.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem. But we do see an increase. So Northampton in this 9th grade class currently is 21.2%, which is about 3% above what it was last year. So that does impact the tuition numbers. So we do expect to pick up 2 to 4 tuitions as we settle up before the start of the school year. But like I said, we're right on the edge. Budgeted for 455. We're at 456. So we should be starting the year at +2 or +5, but we'll see where that goes. Some personnel updates. I do want to highlight Tom Sipple, one of our cabinet making instructors. He retired. It was kind of a surprise. He'd been thinking about it, and he did retire about a week after school ended. But we did hire a cabinet instructor yesterday who very, very confident in this individual. So I think we were very, very lucky with the timing, which doesn't always happen. So once that's finalized, once the paperwork's finalized, I'll announce who that is. We do have ag mechanics. Right now we're working with a finalist, but we may have to repost. We'll see how that goes. We did post for an electrical instructor. One of our instructors, unfortunately, is dealing with some personal things and is not going to be able to come back to school this coming school year. I do want to highlight, though, he wanted to make sure that everyone knew how pleased he was with the school, how happy he was with the opportunity. If there is an opportunity down the line, he very much wants to be able to return. So that was nice to hear.
And you'd welcome him back.
Absolutely. So, about pending your questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I have a question about Connecting for Success. I I love that we send people there, and certainly that some of our people are presenting there.
Yes.
And I love the opportunity for professional development over the summer, and I mean, it's in the name of it, but for folks able to connect to one another, this can be really rewarding. How, like, does the school does the school cover the cost of it? How many people are sent? Is there a competition for it? Is anybody who wants to go, can they go? Can you just tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so it's paid for through Perkins funds. So we're able to budget some of the Perkins funds that we can earmark for professional development. There's only one person in the district that Perkins funds can't be used for. That's Dr. Lincoln Holbert. As the superintendent, he's considered a non-student contact administrator. So there is competition. So anybody can apply in, any teacher.
Yeah.
That's who it's for. We do our best to try to sway it so more vocational teachers are attending, because it is, although there is opportunities for academics, a lot of it is geared on professional development within your career tech field and networking that happens there. So generally what we do is we have criteria that we go through. Melanie Chartier sends out a prompt for people who want to attend, and the criteria is in there. So we look at how long ago have you attended, have you attended other things like ACTE or other stuff, are you in a position of leadership, are you in a position, so we try to scale it so if you've never been, you're new or you're in a leadership or you're in a leadership position, then you're going to have the opportunity to go that year. And then if we have enough slots for the number of people that are interested, we send them.
And about how many do we send?
We send generally 8 to 10.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Okay, back to the MABA, you said this person developed a relationship that lasted a decade or so.
A couple decades, yeah.
Okay, did this person that they developed the relationship happen to die, or is it still?
I don't know. I
Okay.
can't, yeah.
Okay.
I don't recall
All
if
right,
he mentioned that.
all right. So the important part was he was the one that inspired him
Absolutely.
to go on, okay?
Yeah, and it was funny because when he was looking at the guy, he was like, what is this guy wearing and stuff, and he had never really seen the guy got out of a Cadillac and this and that, and of course, being a teenager, his first question was around how much money do you get paid?
Yeah.
And when he told him, he thought he meant basically what did he say, per year or something, and he said that's per month or something. It was ridiculous. Yeah, he gave him this number, and he was just like,
Holy smokes.
yeah.
All right, my other,
Inner city youth in Miami, and he eventually received a full boat scholarship for football. And then the teacher came in and pushed him to really pursue the dream, which is to fly. So he
To
got a
fly.
scholarship as a promoter.
Yeah, he has quite a story. He's the youngest person ever to fly around the world. And he did it on a plane that he built himself, basically, because he couldn't get sponsors because he was so young and so inexperienced. And he actually, when he tried to get sponsors and tried to get planes, everybody just kept saying, this isn't going to happen. We're not going to put you up in the air. So what he decided to do, this is the idea around resiliency and problem solving, is he went to all the parts manufacturers and he got them to donate wings and tires and an engine, and he put the thing together himself and then flew around the world.
that's
And,
a great story.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story. If you have the
All right, my
opportunity.
other question, Mr. Joseph. So Mr. Sipple is retiring, that's unfortunate. So you have somebody in the mix, can you give us a little bit of background on him?
Yeah.
Where in the industry is he
Sure,
coming
he's
from?
local, he's come from a cabinet making shop, he's worked his way up through being a cabinet maker on the floor, managing teams up into project management, and so he's looking forward to being able to get back into the hands-on and mentoring side of things.
Sounds like a solid candidate, so what is he currently doing that you just mentioned he's looking to get back on the floor type of thing?
He's in the project management role now.
So he's more, okay, not more,
Dealing with customers and clients.
yeah, not hands-on,
Correct,
gotcha,
yeah.
great.
And I think the committee, the way we do it here is we post for the position. We have a screening committee, an interview committee, and then the finalists come and they teach lessons. So we actually had students, this is the cool thing about it, we actually had students come back for these interviews and play the role of students in a school year. So they come back in the summer and they have sit through the mock lessons. So that's one of the things I'm kind of proud of. Two of them were graduates who wanted to come back, so they took an ownership of trying to find
That's
a instructor.
I see your emails out when you're hiring, and I love how you mentioned this is the most important part of our job, to hiring the right person, make sure it's the right mix, the right fit. So appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
What's the candidate pool like in July?
Depends on the position.
What have the candidate pools been like in these positions? Depends on the position.
It depends on the position.
Okay, moving on, Julie, committee reports?
The policy subcommittee met on July 9th to continue reviewing the redundancy of the hardship policy with the sick leave bank policy. We spent a good deal of time discussing what a comprehensive and fair sick leave bank policy will look like for this district. We do not yet have a proposal for your consideration, but we will soon. The D-Building Strategic Planning Subcommittee also met on July 9th, where we drafted an RFP for a D-Building feasibility study. Ms. Fairman then took on the work of engaging with the city's procurement officer to ensure compliance with regulations. You received a copy of the RFP in your packets, and we will be discussing it tonight.
Thank you. Tim?
Just a quick update. Obviously, the sidewalk project got underway. They started demoing out on the side.
Wow.
I think they should be done with it in another 2 or 3 weeks. They had a little hold up because we never called dig safe, so they had started just taking up the old brick pavers. I did go over the information you gave me about proper procedure.
Yes, that would be my first question.
I knew that's why.
So what type of pushback do you get or feedback?
The only thing he's questioning is the that filler between the curbing and the concrete. He said you just don't see it very often.
The filler between the meaning the granite curbing and the concrete
Yeah.
sidewalk?
Yeah.
Okay.
He says it will break down over time. Anything you put in there is gonna eventually have weeds come up.
Okay.
And he said he will do it if we want it, just the
Well-
additional cost of popping it in.
So the other option, and I think I've discussed this with you, is don't put it in there, and whatever, half a year down the road, take a diamond blade and create a groove there
Yeah.
and seal it.
Okay.
That I think is actually the best option. And you look around, some places put the filler there and don't put the filler there. But also if you look around and you don't put the filler there, there's weeds growing up all over the place. Look at especially going from West Street to Route 10. You've gone by Smith College, come to the Four Corners, you're headed out to Route 10, you got the sidewalk there. That whole section is just weeds. And it just breaks down the concrete and everything around it. So I think that, in my opinion, it needs consideration. So I'll leave it up to you to decide what to do.
Yep.
But I would like to see something done eventually.
Yeah. I like the saw cutting it next year.
Yeah, I think I've actually never seen that done, but in my head, I think that's the right approach. Because nobody, like you just said, nobody wants to put the filler in ahead of time and caulk that joint, because the sealant degrades too.
Right.
No matter what you do, and that always needs maintenance of some sort. So the less maintenance we can do, the better.
Absolutely.
Plus it looks bad. The weeds.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yes,
the green
absolutely.
curbing is beautiful. can I ask your professional opinion about something, or like draw on your expertise? So there'll be granite curbs, which to me look beautiful, and I see them all over the city. And I know that we, historically, we've had asphalt curbs, or I think they're made out of asphalt. Like, why is the granite curbing so popular, and is it better than the asphalt? Like, it's not good if my tire hits
So
it.
we got a little of both here, right? We got
Yeah.
granite and asphalt. Out front of a building, there's asphalt curbing, it's called Cape Cod curbing, it's like a 45 degree, and then there's
Yes.
the traditional ones around the edge.
Yeah.
So the traditional ones around the edge would be damaged pretty easily by the plow. Unless, if you're going parallel with it, you're all set, but all the outcroppings around the flagpole, you see chunks of it out. The granite's just more durable.
Okay. And must be more expensive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And,
But it,
I
like,
mean, I think it also looks really sharp.
Yeah.
But he's right about the weeds, like when they grow up older, it looks so bad.
yeah, it's terrible. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. It exists everywhere. And when I
Because if
drive,
it's all asphalt, you don't have those seams, right?
the asphalt is just not durable.
Yeah,
Like
but
Tim
in
says,
terms of the seams, that wouldn't have that issue necessarily.
Anywhere there's a seam, right,
Yeah,
where they
they're
break
very
it, they'll
yes, but the Cape Cod berm where it's sloped, it's less apt to be damaged by the plows. Where you have a full blacktop asphalt curb, you'll see slip anywhere they are, you'll see plow damage.
Yeah.
The plows they don't, in my opinion, they don't damage a granite curb. But in any of these systems, there's a little bit of give and take, pros and cons. I totally believe in a granite curb as long as you maintain that joint between the sidewalk and the curb. What about the finishing operations? They get any pushback on that?
No, he actually knew what you were talking about, so, we're gonna walk through tomorrow, he pulled a line for an elevation out there that, he's trying to decide what the height of that curve will be in the reveal. It's there's two different ways Mike Shaver put it in the drawing, so it's all gonna depend on the ADA compliance
Yeah.
from the door out, so.
I imagine that the ADA handicap ramps have tactile.
Yep.
And what are those? Are they cast iron or are they the rubber, plastic?
The rubber, yeah.
Yeah. And are they screwed down or are they?
They're just set into the wet cement.
They're set into, okay.
You can see out front where all the granite is rolled, right? Because
Yeah.
that granite was never keyed in with cement, it's just sitting on sand. So after 50 years, it starts to roll. So these are all cemented in, so they should stand up.
Does
Great.
granite just hurt plows?
Not really, no. But,
They don't stop.
well,
They get the plow hits
It's a
the
draw.
granite curb and
Okay.
it says, oh shoot, I hit that granite curb.
yeah, so they'll do both sides and do C-build and take out that asphalt, which is nothing but a trip hazard going up in and out of C-building.
Great, thank you.
C-building, D-building dust collection, I'm ready to go out to bid and get quotes, decide what to do when the number comes back. I always thought if you were gonna be in that building for 5 or 10 years, you gotta do it.
Oh, it's gonna be 10 years unless it falls down. Okay. What do you anticipate for the numbers coming in at?
200,000
Yeah,
in there
remember
somewhere.
last time. A lot of money.
Obviously, it's, the ceiling tile in here hasn't gotten done, the contractor had a bigger job that he wanted to put his crew on, I said, okay, just as long as we're done one before the kids come back. We have all the tile ready to go. We're looking at taking down all the trees along the hospital line. It all started out with a couple of standing dead trees that sits right over our power lines and the hospital lines. And then we added in the 26 of their pine, and then to clear out the rest of the trees, because all the trees behind the seed building and White House all grow right next to the power lines and our data line, fiber optics. And we'll take down the last 3 big pines out front.
So are there gonna be any trees between us and the hospital?
No.
Wow. We don't need permission from the city?
No, not if they're endangered. And you don't tell them, so it's left.
I can see from here.
Yeah. No, the red pine, I mean, the red pine, they're just a hazard right now, standing hazard, so that's what.
There is a potential for additional trees being planted in
Oh,
that
to make
area,
up for the horticulture.
Correct.
building.
So there you go.
but they
So-
won't be something that grows
Like
high.
crab apple trees.
Yeah, so like our data line, our phone lines are
Yeah.
probably like 10 to 15 feet in the air,
Yeah,
so it's gotta be pretty low.
right,
The city would love to put solar on the C building, but because of the trees,
right.
it kind of moved it out.
I like trees as a rule, and also they're a nice visual
Yeah.
barrier between two pretty industrial
Yeah.
buildings
National Grid does have a list of trees that it recommends to plant on
that we
this
can
plan.
replace them with.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Andy, so like Joe just mentioned, this could be something we,
So in talking with the horticulture program and finalizing the horticulture building project, we have in place 75 inches of trees. We do have a source. I want to thank Mr. Ronstock and Mr. Nevin having this contact. It looks like we have access to free trees.
Nice.
So that's why we have a sort of a tree planting plan. And,
Great.
That's the option.
excellent.
How do you feel about trees between us and the hospital?
I agree. I like to have a barrier as much as possible, but I think the safety concern is a bigger concern at this point.
Right,
What we put back in there, it'd be nice to have some kind of barrier.
right. And who, are we paying for that?
The two trees that are in danger of coming down right now, National Grid said they would take down. The rest of them are on us. They won't.
You'll see in my report,
Okay,
tying it into the bigger plan.
got it.
So the challenge has been dealing with, telling National Grid, we gotta deal with the hospital, right? That you gotta be part of this in 2 weeks' notice, and National Grid is terrible to work with. I come across the parking lot, guys in fluorescent shirts are walking around out back, and there's 2 tree guys, and they left their huge bucket truck in the middle of the road over there, walked away from it, and so that blocked urgent care. It was going out.
And the parking is so tight over
Yeah,
there.
and I just poked my head through the gate to make sure no one was there, and then, 3 people came up yelling at me about blocking the road, so. And the company had, their equipment was too small, it was like a 200-foot boom to go up and over the power lines, so. It's a challenge right now, but I don't know, but I think our project might end up moving faster than taking down those schools. So I don't know if National Grid would pay that company just to do it, whoever it may be. So, nothing's really simple. Roof repair, they're moving along, they're ready to come out and start, they're doing the paperwork, so, it's gonna be pushed back a little bit longer, might be closer to when the kids are here, but, I'll just point out some sections I want done first, so they're not right by the windows on the second floor, where academics or kids are at.
And how much
That's
of,
appreciated.
how much is the roof getting redone?
$85,000. So it's the perimeter that's not tied down now, right? That's, they're gonna repair that.
The areas that haven't blown off
Right.
yet.
And then there's sections, we've had 3 sections where around the elevator, which perennially leaks and we can't quite figure it out, so we're just gonna replace that.
Okay,
And then there's a section over carpentry that's original from the 80s that they're gonna try to do.
all right, so it's not a wholesale replacement, it's
Well, we don't
selective.
need that, right? A good third of it's already been replaced.
Okay.
Maybe more. And I'd like to, if there's money left, and there might be, I wanna put an access to get onto the roof from inside the building instead of putting a ladder on the boiler.
So there's no roof hatch?
There is, but years ago, they sealed it over. It's at the top of the staircase, if you go up the stairs.
Is that something you can,
I would never open that up, because here's the hatch, and here's the railing for the staircase, and you're slipping straight down. It's like,
so could you utilize that old access in some way?
no, I would
You gotta cut in a whole new one?
$6,000 and go through it's the new section in electric shop by the locker room, the bathrooms, that's got a metal deck, you can cut through there and put a hatch there. And then it's the railing up on top. But if you ever climbed up there on a ladder, you watch that ladder bow as you're going up.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to do it.
No, I hear you.
Still waiting for my lights to come in. Totally a student project when they get back. And we're gonna go ahead and do the asbestos abatement up in D222, first week of August. So we should be all cleared out before plywood, before it gets back.
I don't know how essential you see your work as to the academic mission of this school, but for me, you know, as I look through this whole list of projects and thinking about the start of school, I mean, I know how much pride I took in this campus as a parent, you know, when my students say how much pride I take in it now, how fun it is for me to tell people that how big the campus is, all the different buildings. All of these things just make it a place that people want to be and that students and the families are proud of. And if they come to school with that mindset, they're gonna be better learners. Yeah, so thank you for your contribution.
So I always looked at my job as the facility can't affect the school day.
Yeah.
Anything else can, but not the facility. So we have like all the brand new mini splits in seat building, and one keeps dripping the water all over the floor. And the guys come and look at it. They said they had it fixed, and today I went out and I took the cover off the outside drain, or all gravity fed. And the way they put the drain hose in the bottom, the line set went on top, and pinched just enough that it fills the reservoir, and then the fan blows the drips as it's coming on. And you think it's condensate, and it's on the roof, that's what it is, but it's not. It's the
Who installed those?
B&G. It's the only one in the building that messed up.
So you were able to find the problem and fix
I
it?
haven't fixed it yet.
But find it.
That's the biggest part.
Do we have any type of service contract on the mini splits?
Not for that. We have our company comes in and cleans them, but not to do this. This is dig out their spray foam insulation and try to raise the line set off that drain hose.
I want to dovetail on Julie's comment about keeping this place in order. So at UMass Amherst, I'm a resident engineer, so I go around, check up on things. And we had a job meeting for the campus center main bathrooms. They're redoing the main bathrooms at the concourse. And most of the meeting was talking about vocational schools. They wanted to know what we do here at Smithville, the architects and the people that I work with. And so that was very.
Did you give the Thomas number?
No,
I pass all that stuff, and when companies are looking for employees, I pass it all on.
well, they said, all right, we want to talk more about the school rec, because they know I'm up for re-election. So, okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Tim. So our financial report.
Yeah, so Ms. Merriman, good for her, she's on so much needed vacation time this week.
Great.
I believe the report is in your packet.
We'll move on to your report.
So with that said, we'll jump in. I have a few slides to share. Many of the topics we've already discussed at some level. As Dr. Spencer Robinson mentioned, we had our policy subcommittee to review the hardship policy, sick bank policy, how can we sort of dovetail them together, make it much more efficient. And then the third policy that we are looking at is the parental leave policy. That was initially part of the unity negotiations. We're looking at how we can expand that to a school-wide all-employee benefit. So I do thank the individuals who are participating in that meeting. We actually have some feedback that I sent off to our legal counsel. I'm just waiting back for that feedback so we can move forward.
And thanks to you for your excellent leadership on this.
Great team. I love the feedback, honestly. It's already been mentioned, we've had the strategic planning going on. This coming Thursday, I think I mentioned at some point, but we have a follow-up meeting with our local legislators, Senator Comerford, Representative Cepadosa, will be talking to us as far as what's happening, how can they assist at the state level moving this forward. Later in the agenda, there's a motion to look at September 16th, which happens to be a local Northampton primary election day. When we built the school calendar, we left that day as a traditional school day, not knowing. Now that we know that there's a primary day occurring that day, my recommendation is that we do change the school calendar, make September 16th a non-school day. and then that would move the current day 180 to Thursday, June 11th. So you'll discuss that later in the evening, but I do fully support making that change.
A historic election, if you saw the paper today. More contested primaries than ever before for a local election.
It's great. So coming up, the state just, I think the board probably is aware, the state did change the regulations. We have to implement an admissions lottery beginning this fall for the incoming class for the 26-27 school year. So we have to have an updated admissions policy that uses a lottery as the tool to screen students and admit students. We have to have that policy on the books before we begin to accept applications. We typically accept applications starting at the open house in early November. So my recommendation is that we have a policy in front of you as a board at your September, at the latest October meeting. So we'll be working around the clock to get this done. Next week, MAVA has their planning retreat. It's their annual retreat down at Devon's, and one of the main topics at the retreat is the admissions lottery, how our school is looking at it. We're going to be talking about some best practices. So our hope after next week, we're going to have a better idea of what other schools are doing. We've actually invited Lauren Devine, our lead school counselor. She's also our admissions counselor. She'll be joining us as well to participate in those discussions. So that's moving along. And we've been talking about staffing, but I do want to just take a moment to recognize Ms. Lucier. She's been a great addition to the central office. I think she's been a great addition to the board. But this Friday is her last day. I want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for your priorities in your family, and I think that's very important. So I think Ms. Lucier made a decision that was difficult, but it's the right decision because your family comes first. So,
We're sorry.
Thank you. You had big shoes to fill, and you filled them, so thank you.
So that position has been posted. Hopefully we'll have that filled relatively soon and we can move it forward. My hope is once we fill the administrative assistant to the superintendent's role, you will then see a posting for the board of trustees clerk. So you'll see that posting hopefully relatively soon.
Can you remind us how that is shared?
So after Ms. Carver retired, we actually took those two positions, we split them out. So the position that we posted and we're trying to fill is the administrative assistant to the superintendent. A standalone position, there's a pay grade for it, pay scale.
Full-time,
Full-time.
calendar year.
Correct. And in that way, it allows the board clerk to be, hypothetically, could be a separate person. And that is funded through a stipend. It would be a monthly stipend. And whoever's sitting in that seat, sometimes it makes sense, but depending on the situation, it may make more sense to have somebody who's not sitting in the seat fill the question.
So the candidates for the administrative assistant would have the opportunity to apply for or not apply for,
Correct.
and that'll be made clear to them when
Yes.
they're, and that wasn't how it was with Ms. Carter. It was
Correct,
part
and that
of her-
was years ago. I think it was an opportunity to try to work on her salary. And I think at some point a decision was made, can we just sort of group both roles together and try to increase the pay that way?
How
We
does
thought
it work?
We had two separate people, very independent in terms of the workload.
Right. Sorry, I didn't.
No, I think that was the purpose years ago,
Yeah.
to combine both roles, just to increase the money
Right,
that way.
right, makes sense.
I like this model, hypothetically separate, but if it makes sense for that individual, I support that.
Would they have first crack at it, or would it be open to all comers?
It'll be posted. I think there would be preference to that individual, which is why I'm holding off on that particular posting until that individual is in that role, give that individual the opportunity to apply for it.
Thank you.
Under management, we have a few updates with the horticulture building. So back on July 10th, I participated in a walkthrough with Maya, that's our insurance company. They walked through looking at any requirements that they have for us to complete in order for us to get that building under the Maya coverage. So that's in the works. This past, yesterday, I had a walkthrough with the Department of Ed, and it was a safety walkthrough with our local liaison along with the Department of Ed safety officer. And we walked through the building. They were very, very impressed with the design. They were impressed with the construction. the layout, so on and so forth. They had their own sort of punch list that we have to work through, mostly about signage. They just really want us to ensure that we're identifying all the doors, whether they're an exit or not, more signage around, emergency shut-offs, and things like that. But overall, it was a great walkthrough, which is nice. We're getting close.
They have to sign off on it officially, okay?
Not for the occupancy permit, but for us to use it as a chapter 74 space.
Makes sense, I guess.
Correct. So if we have our laundry list, we'll be sending them photos and then send them these occupancy permit. The big thing, what was hanging them up was the lack of paving at this point for the walkway down. That's an access concern that they have. They understand it'll be fine, but they can't sign off until they see the actual paving. But that was a
Excuse me, it's interesting they focused on the signage, which is all code required and design required.
much of it is, one example would be signage for, as I mentioned, the emergency shut-off. So obviously you have to have a sign over the shut-off. That makes sense, but they also want us to have a sign higher up. Their mindset is, what would this space look like when it's fully equipped and fully full of students and adults? And if you have a big backhoe in the shop, and I can't see line of sight, can't see that sign above the shut-off, they want another sign. That's one example. It might be a sign for
Okay.
a storage closet. You see a door in the case of an emergency, and there's panic going on, people see a door, I want to leave, I go through this door, now you're stuck because it's not an exit, you're stuck in the closet. So those are things that aren't necessarily code, but from an educational perspective, they
Definitely.
make sense.
Yeah.
So we'll work through all of that list as well, but again, very promising. And I mentioned at a previous meeting, the official certificate of occupancy will be issued once we finish the 75 inches worth of tree replantings. The city did approve our plan, so we will have a temporary certificate of occupancy upon the completion of the construction, which means we can move in, we can actually use the building, and we will get the official occupancy permit most likely next spring, once the horticulture students and instructors finish training. So that was good news.
And nothing is jeopardized by that temporary
As far as,
liability or,
so, and we will sign off on it, the Department of Ed will receive the copy, they will sign off. If the temporary certificate of occupancy was issued because there was something structurally that wasn't complete, that would be a different story.
Yeah.
Simply because of trees, we're okay.
okay.
Some upcoming tasks, and I just wanted to share with the board again, it's nice to see this particular task list, we're getting there. So as I already mentioned, they're spreading the loam, they're doing the initial seeding for the grass, they're gonna pave the walkway, they're gonna finish the electrical connection, so they're adding in the outlets and so on and so forth. The painting has been done, but they have to go through and any touch-up paint. I believe as of today, they started the floor painting. And I think also today they started to remove the construction fencing around the construction site. And hopefully next week they will have final inspections, and we're hoping to have that temporary certificate of occupancy by next Friday, is the plan. The ribbon cutting ceremony, as the board, you received your official invite for Friday the 22nd at 10:30. As of today, the last time I checked, I think we had about 18 confirmed attendees.
How many folks were invited?
It was over 50.
Was the Gazette invited?
The Gazette and both Channel 22 and 40 reached out as well.
And have any of them said they're coming?
I would have to double check.
I was disappointed that there wasn't press at the companion animal building.
From the Gazette, I think one of the news stations.
Oh, that's right, TV was, yeah, I was thinking of the Gazette, yeah, yeah. I was disappointed that the Gazette wasn't at the companion animal.
So as I mentioned, I had something in the report I wanted to talk about, for that tree line. So I just want to remind the board, this is around the funding and where we are financially with the construction. Before the fire, when we were talking about the vision of the ag complex and how we wanted to take back the current animal science building, we wanted to renovate that into the animal science classrooms, we wanted to take the former classroom, turn that into a pocket pet lab, we wanted to build it into an animal building. We were sort of earmarking about $600,000 for that particular project, and that was, again, prior to the fire. And then the fire came along and it changed everything. But also during the fire, as you recall, the state came out with great support, and they really helped us out with all of these skills capital grants. And they allowed us, and I kept talking about a shell game. Okay, so we all knew that we were already kind of budgeting $600,000 from the tuition revolving. All of a sudden, we received all of this grant money, and then at the 12th hour, we received that $1.2 million from the DEA, and here we are. We're just about done with the current vision. Last time I spoke to Ms. Fairman, we are looking at most likely having to dip into the tuition revolving total about $400,000. So we did not come close to meeting $600,000. I want to thank Ms. Fairman directly. I want to thank Mr. Bianca, Mr. Smith, the entire team in managing the operating budget as well as we have over the last several years. I think you've heard at the end of every fiscal year, ideally we have not leftover money, but we have money that hasn't been spent. And we had to figure out how, oftentimes we would pre-purchase textbooks and other items. We were also able to apply some of those funds to some of the construction costs, which has minimized the need to go all the way to the $600,000 in tuition revolving. So my point is, we need $400,000 right now to complete everything total. Okay. I want to look at it as we haven't spent the $200,000 that we all agree that we may have to go into the tuition revolving. I would like to potentially look at that $200,000 and look at this campus and what do we have to do to truly finish things off. The first one I've already mentioned, I will continue to mention. I would love to see the existing horticulture building demo. I think at this point we may have to keep the head house and the greenhouse as is until we're able to figure out how to have a new greenhouse and a new head house attached to the new horticulture building. But until that happens, I think that current head house and greenhouse may have to stay. But I would love to see the current garage and that old slab, the former classroom, be removed. I think it's an eyesore. I think it's just more space and more issues for us to manage. And with the new building, I would love to start doing the new building as quickly as possible. So I would recommend that. Last time I spoke to Mr. Smith, we're looking at that entire project's probably going to be about $100,000, okay, just north or south of $100,000 to complete that project.
Question, sir. I appreciate the thought of maintaining the head house and greenhouse, but there's the operative word, maintaining. What are we going to do with it? Are we going to utilize it?
Yes.
Okay.
That would have to be the expectation.
Okay.
Yes.
And I totally supported of that. We supported of your vision. But if we're going to maintain the head house and greenhouse, I want to absolutely see that utilized.
Yes. I agree.
Thank you.
Another piece, back to the Pocket Pet Lab. Part of when we talk to the state around code issues, requirements to have that particular Pocket Pet Lab, one of the requirements is to have an isolation room. It was not required in order to have animals in there initially, but at some point we have to have an isolation room. We have the design. It would be a student-built sort of annex off of the Pocket Pet Lab. We're looking at approximately $50,000 worth of equipment and materials to do that. I would recommend that if we are looking at potentially using the remaining $200,000, that we set money aside to make sure that we can get that isolation room completed. If you walk down to the Pocket Pet Lab in the MS bar, you see the beautiful new metal siding up. You see a section of the wall that has not been sided. We held off because that would be where the isolation room would be built. We didn't want to put siding up and then just simply remove it. So that would be the idea behind that.
So the vision, you had the vision not to put the siding up because you knew.
We have to have an isolation room at some point.
Okay.
We didn't want to wait on the siding in general. So we sided the rest of the barn, but we just left that one wall exposed, knowing at some point we have to have an addition off of it. So that's why you see no siding on that particular wall.
Okay. So this is the first I'm hearing of this isolation room. We're hearing of this isolation room. So I appreciate.
Long time ago.
Okay, I guess I missed that part. So I appreciate the vision and certainly supportive and glad you didn't put the metal siding up to make it easier to So this will be a little bump out?
Correct.
Okay.
And then lastly, I do support what Tim was talking about with the pine trees. So I would recommend the balance of the potential 200,000. And I believe Tim was looking at estimating the tree removal of about 50,000, I think give or take. And we should have enough money to remove those trees. So again, I'm using very rough numbers, but if we're looking at about 100,000 for a demo of the horticulture building, we're looking at approximately $50,000 for the pocket pet lab, the isolation room aspect of it, and most likely about 50,000 for the pines. At the end of the day, there's our $600,000 total, and we now have the ag complex renovation vision has been completed at that point. For the most part, even though we have an old greenhouse and head house, but we finished that. So I want to share that with the board. I know the last few months I've been talking about contingency funds from the horticulture building, and right now those funds are dwindling. But I've talked to our OPM, the contingency funds that we've talked about with the project, that we have this leftover money in the budget. In reality, that's not new money. In reality, that money is part of this tuition revolving chunk. So at the end of the day, it's coming out of tuition revolving anyhow.
Dr. Lindenhofer, can you say again the 600,000 before the fire? What was the intention for that? Could you spell it out for us?
We were going to start with the, at the time, the GCC building, when we did not renew that lease. We wanted to go in there and renovate that space and turn that into our animal science related classrooms, teacher office space. So that construction cost. It was also the demo of the former pig barn and the construction of the new companion animal building. And it was also the renovation of the former animal science related classroom, which is now the pocket pet lab. Those were the three big components.
And all of those have been accomplished.
Correct, minus the isolation room, that's the last piece.
Minus the isolation room, but all of that has been taken care of, and that, the 600,000 that was going to come from tuition revolving instead came from the grant fund.
So as one example,
There we go.
we were already we were beginning the renovation of the animal science building, the classrooms. We were into that project and we have a fire. So then when the state came out, reached out to me to say, what about some of these grants? I said, well, yes, we need money for this horticulture rebuild. However, we're actually in the midst of another project. Could we apply the grant money to the animal science construction, which would then allow us to shift some of the 600,000 over to the horticulture building? The state was okay with that. So when you look at the invoices for the horticulture building, some of the invoices we paid with tuition revolving, some we paid with grants.
Right, and you wanted to do that, why?
Do the animal science
No,
renovation?
why did you want to, take the grant money and spend it
So-
rather than use the tuition revolving?
Right, so we had the tuition revolving set aside for the animal science project.
Yeah.
And then how do we find $7 million for a horticulture rebuild? And we only had the insurance money, we had some donations. We were struggling to figure out how to rebuild a horticulture building. When the state said, we have this money initially, we weren't ready to build a horticulture building.
And we would have met the timeline for
Correct.
spending it. Okay.
Correct. So they allowed us to apply that grant money to the animal science building, which then freed up money that we had set aside. We could hold on to that money and use it elsewhere.
So, thank you so much for explaining that. So was any consideration given to, we could not spend the 200,000? Because we don't.
And that's my other.
That's your other,
It's
because
the
we
last
don't, we don't have to spend it. I mean, I know that, Mr. Bianca, not yet, Doctor, but, Mr. Bianca says that, we're right at the number of students
Yes.
that we need to meet our expenditures, and I know we go from year to year, we've got to spend our money from year to year, but, that's, we don't have, what's our contingency fund look like for any kind of emergencies? What is, I know it's in our budget, but it's not very much,
90,000.
yeah. So just
But you're right,
curious.
the tuition revolving has been our contingency fund throughout the years.
Yeah.
You are correct, and I've shared that with the construction team, that this potential money, we don't have to spend. But my question to the board would be, what is the vision for the existing horticulture building? If we don't do it now, will we ever do it? And I think that's just a worthy conversation. The pocket pet lab, if we don't do it now, it has to be done at some point.
We have to comply with the state regulations.
So that might be, if we don't use the tuition money, that might be a year that we just have to say we have to use that extraordinary maintenance line for the isolation room, which is fine, but then we don't have that money
Or we could use 50 of the 200,
to
because
complete
that's,
that.
that's a, yeah,
Correct.
we have to do that.
Correct. And then the trees, they are a safety concern. Where is that money coming from? So that's,
The one option might be, and I'm hearing you say, if we don't demo those buildings now, then when will we? But one option might be to say, maybe not demo the buildings now and wait until May to see where we are fiscally with the district. And if we're in a good place and enrollment is fine in terms of tuition, everything else, then go ahead and do that. Are there reasons why we shouldn't wait? Or besides, it would be nice to have everything done, which I appreciate.
but and there's not a pressing need to get it done now, right? Honestly, it's kind of nice to have, at least to have the garage that we have, which is going to ease the transition to the new building. So as an example, we've got about 2 weeks to move everything into the new building to have it ready for day one. We don't necessarily need to move, and I got the Department of Ed's approval, that we don't necessarily have to move all of the equipment and the tools for day one, because we still have the garage. But we need to get all the classroom materials. So having the structure is benefiting us in the near term. Once we get into the
Hold
school
on,
year.
hold on, the structure of the partially burnt down?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're storing all of our
Yeah,
tractors in there right now. We can leave the tractors in there if we have to for day one. We need to focus on the classroom, the teacher's office building. So there is a benefit currently. I think the longer we wait, it's back to the management of the program. I just worry about that. We have a lot of resources for that particular program.
I appreciate your comments, Julie, and your vision, and bringing up the other side of the issue. And the longer we wait, the more things cost, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a catch-22. It's serving purpose. I don't hate to say it, I'm always an advocate of spending the money if we have it now to do something worthwhile. So we need to balance that. Is it appropriate to spend at this time?
When are you hoping for a decision?
Sooner than later. And I'll support the decision, but we're getting to that point now where we can't talk philosophically anymore.
So tonight or next month?
I'm okay with the next meeting.
So
It'll
maybe
allow
have
us to
some time
truly complete the horticulture building,
to
but
think about it and mull it over.
I
And
think that'd be,
Could you have some estimates of the cost for those different goals and items?
I can bring those forward.
That will help.
Yeah, we're gonna put a recap sheet together for the next meeting.
and then-
That's, next meeting's probably not gonna be till September. I'm a big advocate of not doing August, but we're gonna get to that. So,
We don't meet a lot. We meet fewer than any other ones.
okay, but let's, it'd be great to keep it to, I know we need to do what we need to do. Okay, so let's do what we need to do.
And we could actually schedule it in the time. August 22nd after the ribbon cutting. But
No, that's not a bad idea.
how would you, what order would you put these 3 items in terms of your own priorities?
I think if we're looking at tuition revolving, my priority would be the horticulture building. That's the biggest ticket item. It would be very difficult for us, I believe, looking at the operating budget to find the funds to demo the
But,
horticulture.
so I'm saying, I'm saying tuition revolving, you know, yes, tuition revolving and yes, this fiscal year, but maybe not August, September, maybe May, June, so that we have time just in case. But anyway, but if it's at the top of your list for now, is it at the top of your list for now?
I think it's at the top of my list as far as the decision being made, that yes, it's coming down, and the money's coming out of tuition revolving, so we can budget that money, we know it's happening, whether it's happening in October or it's happening in May, we know it's happening and we can earmark that money. I think that's the priority.
And then what about the pocket pep?
The pocket pet, because it's student bill, you would have to have that decision relatively soon, just because it takes time.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we give those particular departments ample time to get the work done.
And then
I
the
think it'd be
trees.
that much money even with our students, but
The materials was quoted about 50,000.
Our students can't do the foundation work. That's necessary. That was a big part of it. The excavation and foundation work around the sewer system, the area that's there.
And the trees still have that sense of urgency for you?
I think if necessary, we could find that funding within the current budget. If we were really struggling with that, and I do respect that, I do value maintaining the tuition revolving account, I think we have to. So I do agree with that. So if necessary, if we wanted to hold some money back in the tuition revolving just in case, I think I could work with Ken to figure out how can we afford the tree.
Yeah, what about grants due to a safety issue or trying to work with the hospital and the city in regards to that?
Right, that's a possibility.
And our students can't be involved in that.
No.
Everyone will ask that question, of course.
That close to the
I
power line,
thought
that
of
close to
that
the
right
C
away.
building, that close to the hospital. Some good news, and I want to thank Ben Weil from the city. He actually took this particular initiative on, and he sees the value in updating our heat pump systems for A building and B building. He personally wrote the grant. He received the grant for $668,000. It's going to cover the entire project. So thank you, Ben. It was great.
Just a win-win.
Yes.
for sure.
Awesome.
Under family and community engagement, back in late June, I had a meeting with our fellow colleagues from the Hilltown Health Network, just kind of reviewing the behavioral health services that we've had this past year, trying to preview the services for this coming year, what can we do differently and better to better serve our students. So it was a great meeting. I do believe we will have the therapists on site, hopefully on site and or hybrid, but we will have some type of counseling services from the Hilltown Health Network. That will continue. And back to the strategic planning, I met with Representative Savadosa last week. She just wanted to have an update on what is happening potentially with regionalization with the building, so she's better prepared for the upcoming meeting. So that was a great opportunity. Under professional culture, we've already talked about these two conferences. I'm not going to continue to talk about the keynote. Irving, he was, again, outstanding, done a success. And then these are some of the highlights I personally have, different sessions I attended, some testing updates, the MAMA annual board meeting, and then I attended several AI sessions, which were fascinating to make everyone's jobs more efficient. Definitely some great strategies and tools for the teachers to use. So it was a learning experience for me. And then a couple weeks ago, we were down on the Cape for the annual MASS conference. That's the State Superintendent's Conference. And the keynote on the first day was B.D. Wong. If you're not familiar with B.D. Wong, he was, he's many things, but he was an actor in Law and Order. Might be his claim to fame. And his presentation was great. He was just talking about his upbringing, his life, and how we can relate that to the school. So it was good. I also attended sessions on leading strategically. We had the opportunity to meet the new DESI commissioner, Pedro Martinez, and he led a panel discussion. I really enjoyed what he said. Obviously, he was new. I think there's great hope, and let's just keep our fingers crossed and move in the right direction. I took the opportunity to attend, again, more AI sessions. On the second day, the keynote was Tim Shriver. Many of you were able to listen to him at the joint conference back in the fall. His claim to fame is he's a Kennedy. His second claim to fame is he oversees Special Olympics, which was founded by his mom. And I just love to listen to him speak. His heart is in the right place. He means well. He wants to do the right thing for the kids. And then also an update on various legal issues that are happening across the state, which is always beneficial.
Never a dull moment there.
No. The one donation that we received was from Hemlock Farm Homestead, and we received a male Rex rabbit for animal science. We're going to use that male rabbit for breeding, and then the students can learn various aspects of genetics and color patterns. Looking ahead, many of these dates, obviously as board members, you're more than welcome to attend, and I encourage you to attend many of these, but tomorrow I have my admin retreat, just an opportunity for the leadership team to come together and begin to map out and plan for this upcoming school year. Thursday, we've already mentioned we have that strategic planning meeting with Representative Zavadosa and Senator Comerford. Next week, I already mentioned, many of us will be down at the Marlboro Planning Retreat. Really, the focus is on the admissions lottery. I have an MIA meeting. We have a city department head meeting. You may have received the invitation to the Smith College Community Breakfast. We're trying to respond back. I believe that's earlier. It seems very early this year. It's in August. That's the same day, potentially, if the board decides to have an August meeting. But again, we'll discuss that later this evening. The following day, this is a busy week. That particular week would be a busy week. That following day, we have our new staff orientation on Wednesday, August 20th. On August 21st, that Thursday, all staff return for their first day. That's our convocation. They kick off, and then it gives the opportunity for the teachers to get into their classes and into the shops and begin to prepare. On that Friday, we have Friday the 22nd, we have our new student orientation. We have the horticulture building ribbon cutting ceremony. You see the Covington Fair, it happens to be that particular weekend. We come back from that weekend, and the first day of school is on Monday, August 25th. So the time is coming. Without any further questions, I turn it back to the chair.
So under new business, may I have a motion and a second to approve the faculty manual updates?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? No?
Are these, do we have copies of those?
I believe they're
I emailed them to you guys.
We want to have copies.
Oh, they weren't, okay.
Do you want me to turn them on now?
Yeah, or we can make copies.
Can you just swap over these items? Just come back when
Yeah. Okay. Second, discussion, possible vote, determine whether to allow virtual public access to the Board of Trustees meeting, and if so, to what extent. So, strictly discussion.
So moved. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a, sorry, I misread it, I misread it, yeah.
So we're,
Last month, we said we didn't want to, we tabled it because the mayor wasn't here. The mayor's not here again today, so I'm kind of confused about what in my own thinking, but we did have the presentation from the Northampton.
Right. and I think we're further, in my opinion, I would assume we're further discussing this and trying to work out the details on how to move forward.
Well, I thought he was very enlightened in regards to the things that we can do.
Yeah,
I don't,
the details.
yeah, but I don't think, my own opinion, that's all I'm making.
Yeah,
I don't see us spending a lot of money with all this equipment and cameras, and it's gonna be only used for a monthly meeting. I think this all meeting, system, he feels would do the job, but we would have to probably tie it in Zoom. So I mean, that expense,
We have a Zoom account. So
yeah, we have
that's-
to, you know, so, but do we, that extra laptop?
Some of them, would he provide? No.
Didn't sound like you, but we'd have to,
We, okay,
we could work through that.
suggestions, good. But I think it's important to be available to the public, whether they take advantage of it, even though we have it available, is the next question. Nobody seems to come here monthly, they have the opportunity to come here. Only when there's the house is on fire somewhere with a dog park or some other issue, does anybody seem to come? I think what Leslie's excellent information about saying, look, let's give them the opportunity for parents or caretakers or whatever to be able to see our meeting and what we're doing. And I think all the positive comments that you made this evening are important for them to hear in regards to what we are doing. And so my own personal opinion is that we should do something. And I think that work that Mr. Williams said that it would be very easy to put in that all meeting system. And he said that we could try it, so we don't have to take it. We could try it. As Rick has mentioned, that we may not start it in August, but we could definitely start it in September. My recommendation.
Your thinking has evolved, I think, on this, because a few years ago, you didn't want them recorded at all.
Well, aren't we recorded anyways?
Yeah, we're recorded.
No,
Well, that's,
Mike wasn't in favor of that.
No, are we
No.
recording now?
That we didn't have, yeah, but we didn't used to be recorded.
Okay, all right.
And there was opposition to that, and I'm so glad that
well,
that's
All right,
changed.
so,
I got the floor, please.
yes, sir.
So, excuse me, what my concern was, and I think you will back me up on this, is I don't want to be here till 11 o'clock at night.
No.
Because there was so much exposure with your committee and with the public and topics that it just ran for hours. And that was my biggest concern. But if we use it correctly, and the way we have it right now, the only way I would do it is a participation to the public, is they have 3 minutes to address whatever item that they want to talk about.
Which I think should be the case anyway, in
Right.
person or virtual.
Right.
We should
But I'm
have a
just,
timer.
You know, as long as we are controlling it and it doesn't become a runaway train, I have no problem. Whatsoever.
I would like to hear,
Limit, sorry.
Yeah.
You could always limit the amount of time that you put aside for public comment as well.
Yeah.
You don't have to do 90 minutes, that's
No.
really unheard of.
and we could do what,
So,
we could do what Desi
That's
does
okay.
and put it at the end of the meeting. Have you noticed that? The public comments at the end of the meetings. Oh my God.
Well, that's usually because it allows for conversation about things that were decided on and
Absolutely.
discussed.
Absolutely.
And I've seen it where there's 15 minutes before,
Yeah.
15 minutes after.
Yeah.
So-
I wanted to hear from you, Dr. Bonner, because this would be new territory for us. If we're moving to a hybrid meeting where folks could participate remotely, that also has implications for us. If we're not here physically in Northampton, are we allowed to participate virtually as well? But for right now, we're just talking about people watching and providing public comment. So what should we be thinking about, or, are there questions we should be considering in this, any kind of pitfalls? You deal with this all the time.
So I'm glad that you're thinking in that vein, in terms of what are the roles and responsibilities of the committee members in terms of their participation. Can they also attend via virtually?
Right.
And would that be acceptable? So that's something about pulling up your guide rules, taking a look at what is allowed, and maybe updating those as well. So with the current school committee for Northampton, their guidelines provides provision where they can attend virtually or in person. It seems to work very well, as long as the technology is working. There is some question about when you are present, you are more engaged. so there's that concern. There's also the background things that could happen online that, so those are just things to consider and to maybe update your policies and your guidelines to appropriate in terms of what you would like from
there was a union also, right after the pandemic that, or I don't even know if it was that really made the point that teachers were here and just school and district leaders were here in person, and the board should be also. And so we started meeting in person I don't know if it was long before, but certainly before other boards did. And I think other city boards have continued to meet in a hybrid way. They met virtually for much longer, but then they still allow hybrid. So in some ways, we're kind of going back to how it was before the pandemic, if we allow virtual participation from the board members. I don't know, I guess we should talk about that all in this.
My opinion, I'm in favor of the virtual. I will make every effort to be here in person. I think I've only missed maybe one meeting in whatever how many years I've been here, 4 years coming up. But having the ability to do virtual when you can't physically be here, I think is important. And I think we need to move this forward, like Mr. Kaline has embraced, and work out the details and come up with a game plan of participation by the public. And I think this is a different environment than the Northampton Public School community in terms of people signing in and wanting to join virtually. I don't, just my 2 cents worth in my opinion, that I think maybe as it evolves, more public participation will be embraced. But I think at the beginning, well, maybe it'll be strong and then fall off a bit. Who knows? I think it's uncharted waters for us, and we do need to work out the details and move forward.
Dr. Lincoln Hoper made me aware, and I completely agree with this perspective, that K-12 districts are different from vocational schools in a lot of ways. And one of them is, in a K-12 district, you're educating kids whose families of kindergartners, first,
Yeah.
second, third, all the elementary school kids, whereas in a vocational school, we're 9-12, also, we're a vocational school, so there isn't the maybe kind of academic pressures on our school community that there would be on a Northampton high school. And, there are contested races for the Northampton school committee. Typically, vocational school committee races aren't contested, and not just in Northampton, but statewide events. Dr. Lincoln Hoper brought my attention to that, and I've been like, oh yeah, that's true. So I think that it's, the most important factor, we've got 2 things, right? And one is allowing virtual participation by the public, meaning they could speak in public comment. That, I think, is a no-brainer for me, because we serve so many communities. Like, why not give everyone a chance who wants to speak? The idea of participating remotely, I missed one meeting too. I was in Chicago. I would have loved to have attended virtually. I don't know if the mayor would be participating right now if we have a hybrid meeting. It's possible she might be able to join us, and I think other conflicts that she's had maybe have been more of a schedule thing than she could have. But I don't know if we want to break those into 2 and say, let's move forward with trying the owl and letting there be remote participation from the public, and then maybe when the mayor is here at the next meeting, we get her input on the hybrid member participation.
Well, I'd like to, if everybody's in agreement, to make a motion to do a trial
Of the owl system.
of the OWL system. And we could either wait for October or we can do it in September, depending on what Al Williams says he's ready to go. It sounds like to me that he said with very little effort to put it in.
Okay.
So I think what that would do is show our participation in regards to working with the system for the public. And it would make, it does take that next step for an action plan.
I'll second that.
I will second also. Thank you.
All in favor?
I just would want to check in just a little bit with Dr. Lincoln Hooper and Mr. Bianca to see how,
I would,
for their input.
I totally support the motion. I think my qualification may be knowing that we will have a new clerk, whatever the next meeting is. My recommendation would be sort of a phased-in approach. So at that next meeting,
Very
we
fine.
have the technology, we take a dry run, we try to have it live, but there's no community members allowed into the, just
Yeah.
Like
keep
a,
it
like a
going.
soft, like a
Sure,
soft
no,
opening.
Soft opening,
Sure.
thank you.
Make sure the
Circular
clerk
trial.
knows how to deal with the minutes and
Yeah.
run the meeting. We try to play with the meeting owl, work out the kinks at the next meeting, and then potentially if we pass that test, then we open up. That'd be my recommendation. And then I like the idea of maybe discussing the participation from the board remotely at a later.
Yes.
Like grab
Excellent.
phase in, I would highly recommend.
Mr. Bianca.
That would have been my input. I would just maybe offer one other step where we pilot the public comment. Maybe
Right.
we have staff or Cindy or somebody else so that it can be tested and whoever the clerk is understands it before we just,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
so I would, the phases would definitely be my recommendation.
Excellent.
Great.
So now,
So all in,
Yeah, all in
the
favor?
motion as amended by Dr. Lincoln and Mr. Bianca.
All in favor?
aye.
Thank
Did you get all that, Caitlin?
you. And Joe, did you have something?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry about that. Good news is it's not a lot of heavy lifting and any real adjustments are included in the packet. There you go. So majority of it we've done is just updating dates, calendars, references to personnel. Obviously, we have a new assistant principal that will be added in. Mr. LaRue will be removed. Mr. Sabonis will be shifted. Number 2 is just adjusting the page numbers as needed. In number 3, this is just a line. This is current practice, but I just wanted to make sure that it was added into the faculty manual, so if faculty are questioned about the school council.
What number are you on?
Number 3.
Okay.
Faculty are questioned about the school council. They know that if people are nominated, elections are held when their number of nominees are more than open seats. Just trying to clarify that. Number 4, this came out of our PLCs this year. So we run professional development primarily as professional learning communities, where staff identify, and by staff I mean also administrators might identify areas of interest that we want to delve into deeper. The philosophy of professional learning communities, which Dr. Lincoln Hofer and I went through PLC training back in probably 2011, 10. That range when we were at our other schools. I think we both embrace it heavily. It really comes down to this. You're working with highly competent, trained professionals who are highly educated, whether through the vocational, career technical fields that they're in. So they're coming in as with a lot of experience, a lot of training, and or they move on to have master's degrees and farther. We are able to solve many of our own problems, identify them, problem solve them, and come up with solutions in-house. So part of this is, as the PLC communities, is about identifying those things. So one of the groups this year wanted to really delve into the classroom management, behavior management of the school. So using the existing documents and source documents, it's on the second page, third page. By using existing documents in the faculty manual, the student handbook, and other policies, they really created this great flow chart that we are going to have printed and put in classrooms too, just so that it's a reference point. And you can see sort of there that we always talk about less serious behaviors or minor behaviors and more serious or major behaviors and how to deal with them. So that's getting added into the faculty manual, and that's a resource that our staff has been able to synthesize from different pieces of information and to create a good visual for them to see. So that would be inserted into the faculty manual in the behavior management section or the classroom management section. Number 5 just aligning the requirements with what you've already voted on as a policy, so that's just updating the policy that exists in the faculty manual. Number 6 is there were some errors in the appendix of the manual, the bell schedules. In 2021, I think it was, we adjusted some of the bell schedules and lunches to provide some extra passing time and opportunity for the cafeteria crew to come out and just clean a little bit in between. We had extended, basically, travel time that was unnecessary. But if, for whatever reason, if there was just as an addendum or as an edit, it was omitted, so I want to make sure that gets put in there. Number 7, that's part of your packet. You can see where we have the preferred lesson plan template. We've always had this, or a preferred lesson plan setup, but this is the preferred lesson plan template. It's pulled right out of the setup that we already have existed and is in the faculty manual. The difference is it's taking that preferred lesson and putting it into a fillable document. So although in the manual, it's going to appear static, it's been shared with everybody electronically through Google Drive. And what we functionally added in was how does this align with vision of the graduate. So if you look down below as you read that preferred lesson template, vision of the graduate alignment. So how does this lesson align with the vision of the graduate? To be able to spark that thinking. And then number 8 is just, again, updating the policy that you've already updated, which is the acceptable use policy, and just putting that now in line with the Board of Trustees. So, any more questions? Yes.
I have questions. I first have a question about the school council, which is not directly related to this, but it made me think of an email that we received about the election of the parent representatives to the school council. Can you tell us just briefly how many candidates were there how many seats on the school council are there for parents? How many candidates were there? And how was the voting conducted? I'm just curious to see about the level of involvement.
Sure.
Because that's complicated.
I'd have to go back and look as to how many people nominated themselves.
It's unusual to have an election among the parents, is my recollection.
I've done it. I've had it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, since I've been principal, we've probably gone to elections maybe the 3rd time. So this year we ended up having 2 because a parent resigned. And the parent, generally they're for 3-year terms. If we don't have any candidates, we'll allow somebody to serve twice if they're willing, so 6 years. This past year, we did have 2 openings. We had 8 or 9 candidates.
Is that unusual or no?
That's unusual. It was a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a healthy number.
I think at the last election, it might have been 1 spot and 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look to be
That's
certain.
great.
So what I do is they're asked to provide a biography, a brief biography that gets put into Google form. It's sent out to all members of the school community via the email addresses that we have on file. So if we have more than 1 email address, different parents, that they're going to receive it also. Then there's a window for voting, and then they vote on it, and then the top vote getters are the ones that are elected.
Do they vote by replying to the email?
No. The email has a link to the form.
They have a link to the form that
Yep.
they can vote on?
Yeah.
All right, and I'd be curious how many votes, just because I'm curious about the parent,
Yeah.
it's an indication of parental involvement.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
can
all.
get that
Yeah.
number for you.
Great. And then in terms of the faculty members who are on the school council,
Yep.
how often are there more faculty members who are interested than there are seats available?
Not since I've been here.
Okay.
It's been more putting the information out there and then ultimately having to go around and try to recruit.
Because there are a lot of things that members are involved, faculty are involved in.
Yeah, and then this year again, we had 2 openings in faculty. Generally, we try to have 1. The regulations around school councils, so there's an equal number of faculty with students and parents.
Right.
So we generally keep it at 2 students, 2 parents, reps, 2 staff members, and then myself, the AP, sit on it.
Yeah.
They're not all voters, but they provide information. So then, and you see it when you get the plan and they're in an ex officio.
Right.
But that way, the parents, students, and staff aren't outnumbered by admin.
Right.
So it doesn't become just a vehicle to push my agenda, is how it works. But again, we had 2 openings for staff. We try to keep this one academic, one vocational. So we were able to fill in. So we have a full council.
That's great. I'm a fan of the school council.
Minus 1 student who will have to be replaced, but we'll wait till the beginning of the school.
My next question is about this behavior management flow chart. So did I hear you say that it will be posted in classrooms?
Yes,
And what size will it be? 8.5 by 11, or is it going to be
it hasn't
extra
been
size?
determined yet.
Um,
And it is in color and everything else.
Yeah, you could, I could
Obviously,
figure
I
that.
black.
Yeah.
I printed out black and white.
So is part of your thinking, I love this, I love the clarity of it, I love the logic of it. It's very rational, it makes sense. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, good idea to have them posted in the classrooms, because then everyone in that classroom community is aware of what that flow chart is. So it's not something that a teacher keeps in her desk and then says, oh, Joe Bianca, let me pull out my behavior flow chart, you've done this, you've done that. It's on a wall, so you're seeing it, so you know that if I'm giving you a verbal warning, you're at step 1. If I'm moving your seat, you're at step 2, whatever. You know, it's obvious to both of us what the school practice is, which I think is really, really smart, you know, in terms of running an effective organization. Is that your thinking in posting it in the classrooms?
Yes. And it's going to be a way to reinforce the teacher's
Everyone.
authority and that everybody understands the transparency
Yeah,
of where you're going.
Yeah.
Now, of course, step 1 could happen 3 times in a row.
absolutely.
Right, because
It
you're
might
talking
work.
about different behaviors or
Absolutely,
different
yeah.
individuals,
Yeah.
you know, based on it. So it definitely is not going to be something that says this is a straight line.
Yeah,
There could be IEP requirements that you're not going to automatically go step 1 to step 2.
right.
But generally speaking, this would support the classroom management efforts of the teachers.
Yeah, it's fantastic that it's so explicit. A lot of teachers want to go right to the administration for reasons that make sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
get this disruptive student out of my classroom and let the administration do it so I can teach my content. I get that. But to have this spelled out and then, you know, like the 3rd step there.
And generally
student-teacher
speaking,
conference.
Mr. Willett knows this, but generally speaking, if the teacher ends up doing a write-up, the vice principals or myself are going to go through this when we talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
well, how did you interact with the student? When did you
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
When you contacted home, what was
Yeah.
the parent's reaction? Oh, I haven't yet. No, you need to. You
Yeah.
know, so this is going to, I think, will have multiple benefits.
I love it.
And again, this was teacher driven, so it was really great how they synthesized all that information, which is mostly narrative, and we're able to put it into this.
Yeah, it's really, even in black and white, it's really eye-catching. And my last question is about the lesson plan template.
Yes.
Are teachers expected to complete this 180 times, 40 times for every lesson they teach? Is this a suggestion when they're evaluated? Do they turn this into, how does this live in the teacher practice?
Yeah, sure, that's a good question. So generally speaking, teachers that are in their first 3 years are expected to have this limited written. So if we have a fair observation, this is the template that they should be producing. If they're asked to produce something, then this is the template we would want it in. It's the preferred lesson template, so is it required? No. And there is no requirement for teachers to have available at all times a full lesson plan
Yeah.
for admin. That's not an expectation of the board here.
Something that is just occurring to me, that your vision of a graduate, I forget what the committee is called, but it might be called that, the vision of the
Yeah.
graduate committee. That the vision of the graduate committee could collect these with maybe everything on it redacted, but that to sort of detail the ways in which the vision of the graduate is being implemented at the classroom level. Like, that could be really interesting data.
Yeah, we did 2 surveys last year where we asked people. One survey was are you expecting to implement this and what do you think it could look like? And one was to tell us how are you doing it
Yeah.
after the fact. So I know that our plan is to follow up on that.
Yeah.
We'll probably do it through that format rather than say hand in lesson plans.
Or if,
Just because there's no requirement to.
well, I'm thinking like if they're collected as part of the evaluation process or something, that's what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
redact the other information, just like sort of keep that going on the side, especially if you're doing newer teachers, this is how it's being implemented. That could be interesting to see. Thank you.
We bring it back to order here.
Hold on one second. I assume, Mr. Bianca, this is also in the student handbook?
Not all this, no. Which parts? So
This whole, this,
The behavior of the flow chart.
yeah,
that is not in the student handbook.
okay.
Because
So,
it's really a teacher resource.
okay. What should the student be aware of what their feet are being held to the fire for? Well,
That would be the teacher's role in the syllabus within to
Okay.
implement this and talk to them about it. Again, even though you're seeing this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's not like we're not going to say, why did you not go to step 3 when you were at step 2? There may be other reasons why that they're going to adjust this. So I wouldn't want to set up an expectation in the student's mind that this is how it's always going to go.
Okay.
In the classroom as a visual, the teacher can use it as an aid to talk about the
Say,
general
here,
practice.
this is what we expect of you.
Yes, and this is the general way it'll go. All situations are different and that. But as far as what the student handbook does talk about all the different behaviors and all the different potential outcomes for different behaviors. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
it's a good point. I hear what you're saying, but At this point in time,
Just to me, not
yeah,
having the experience that Miss Julie has in terms of education and that sort of thing, at first blush, I would think this would be part of it, but thank you for the explanation.
And it'll be in the classrooms.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
So I'd like to bring this to a vote. May I have a motion, a second, to approve the faculty manual updates.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion?
can I request an amendment? Can you make an amendment to this vote that will allow me to make the same changes to the paraprofessional manual?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be the second, right?
There would be 2 votes that it would be applied to.
You just say to approve the faculty and paraprofessional manual updates.
That'd be okay. We're not doing any other changes besides what you looked at.
Correct.
Those exact changes go into both manuals.
I'm okay. So moved.
So I think we're going to do this, just knowing that you have the authority. Do you want it ready?
He wants it amended.
Yeah, all right.
So there's a so moved, so are we moving forward? I'll second it. And that's the amended.
The amended version.
Yeah, and you have the amendment? Okay, so, we have a motion and a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, going down the line, may I have a motion and a second to approve the following surplus for resale from agricultural / farm common grain bin.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have a motion and a second to approve the non-school day of September 16th due to the local primary election?
So moved.
Second.
I have a question.
Please.
When will that day be, is it added to the calendar?
It's not added until you vote on it.
Will it be added to the calendar if we
Yes.
add in June?
Correct.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
And just, sorry, a follow-up, is that for security reasons or because of the lack of access to the,
All of you vote.
the building?
So the next item was the discussion possible vote on the RFP feasibility study and possible regional bid. Discussion.
Okay. So, Dr. Lincoln Hucker, I want to throw a potential monkey wrench into this. That came out of, actually the discussion for, on the collaborative board to hire a search firm And I was reminded,
I saw the email, I was hoping Ms. Fairman had an opportunity to, but I haven't seen that response.
okay, right, no response yet, maybe Dr. Bonner might weigh in on it or not. This is we heard from Mars at the last meeting, and we are charged after that meeting, so our charge, the debuilding subcommittee, was then to develop an RFP for a feasibility study. And so that's what we did, and that's what's here. But, Rick, I want you to hear this too. At that collaborative board meeting, it depends on the amount of money that we are gonna put something out to bid for, because they follow the same rules, because they're a quasi-public organization, right? So if we're not spending too much money, then we don't need this whole complicated RFP. And we can send out a letter. This is what we're doing in the collaborative. You heard me in the comments, right? We said, these are the potential organizations that can conduct a search for a new executive director. Here's the criteria for the search that we're interested in them meeting. This is how we'd like them to conduct the process. We identified the potential organizations that could do it, and we sent that invitation to them. So we don't even need to, I think at one level, we can just do that. At one level of cost. At another level, we have to get at least 3 bids, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this complicated. The third level is if it's this complicated. So it occurred to me that we hadn't talked about a dollar amount that we would like to spend, and it's coming out of the trustees line item, if I'm remembering right. And so I'm also thinking that this is a lot for what's going to be a pretty simple, not pretty simple, it's not simple, but it's not super complicated. So the monkey wrench I'm throwing out there is, could it,
Be simplified.
Yeah, what are those thresholds, and could we potentially meet a lower threshold and not have to go through all this?
But I totally support it if that opportunity exists. I think a lot of what you see here, from your draft to this,
Yeah,
the changes came from.
yes,
The city.
downtown, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, so there are pages and pages of that,
Correct.
which I understand.
Yes, there's certain.
Well, once you get bureaucracy involved, this is what happens, and you have
But
you have a good point, there are threshold levels.
Right.
Right, so I'm assuming that if you knew that the threshold, that the cost threshold was lower, would this change? That's your question. It may.
I don't think that we even need to do that. I don't think we need to go, do we need to go through the city procurement office?
Yes.
No matter what.
Probably still.
Okay. Can you shed any light on this, Dr. Bonner? What the tiers are and what
I can't remember what the actual
numbers are? I thought one was 10,000 and the next was like 70,000.
There's
60.
something in
50.
between, but
50.
the 10,000 is I think is the threshold.
If it's under 10,
We just need 3 quotes. We don't have to have.
okay.
The
And if it's under 50, which I don't know if I can't imagine we'll spend more than 50 on this.
No, I
How much is
agree.
even in our line item as trustees?
I had that figure. I don't have it with me. I'd ask for that.
It's, yeah, good. It's probably,
Just off the top of my head, maybe 10 grand, but I really don't know.
is what you think it's spending on this.
But like I just said, I really don't know.
But-
But certainly, we're not gonna spend 50
Less than 50.
on something like this, I would
Well, they do need to, in the scope of work, we do have them holding stakeholder
Yes.
groups, conducting interviews, reviewing all the materials, making a recommendation. But it's still, I think, less than, we don't have more than 50 to spend on. So what does that mean for so I guess maybe we could approve of the idea to proceed with this and then say we want to ratchet it down as much as we can, and also maybe decide on a dollar amount here, or like not to exceed a dollar amount? What do you think?
I think internally, you definitely want to have a dollar amount. I'm not sure how much you want to publicize what that dollar amount is, because I think that's going to influence what the bids are.
Right.
Because you're big.
Right.
Well, there's always an estimated budget amount, and anything being asked for, but I don't know if you need to do this in this sort of environment. I know in any type of public bidding, there's a budget, and either they're gonna meet the budget or they're gonna be way above the budget, and all the bidders are gonna be way the budget and saying, your budget is way out of line,
Yeah.
type of thing.
That's what we did with the collaborative, because we were like, well, should we say, put a limit on it? And then we thought, well, just let people put in what they want to, and we can not support the ones that we think are too expensive, or we might say, oh, in this bid, we didn't think of, we like that, we didn't think of that, we should include it more.
Sure.
I just wanted to offer a suggestion. When I looked through this previously, maybe that what would satisfy what you're trying to do is to allow bidders to bid on parts of it. You can block it out. I think we've done that in other things where they'll bid on this part of the job. So if the feasibility of D building renovation might be something that's paired out from regionalization, where you have it both in there, that might allow you to cut the costs and then decide which you can fund or not fund.
I would like to recommend in regards to finances that we're talking here, that we don't have our finance person here tonight in this family. And I believe that she needs to be in this process in regards to whether it's 10,000 or it's 50,000, in order that I think she could give us better direction in regards to making a better decision.
I'm thinking that sort of along the same lines, that we agree to proceed with the RFP for the feasibility study, not to exceed $50,000, if that's the threshold that we think is, would put us in the next year, or not to exceed some dollar amount that we can come up with a dollar amount that we
Right.
think we're comfortable with. Then we turn it over to the Spearman to simplify it as much as possible and consider the idea that we allow bidders to break it up, or however it works to break it up, to bid on different parts of it.
And maybe after Thursday's meeting with Joe and Lindsay, we might have a better idea. Maybe they can shed some light on this.
Probably not, because I think the Mars folks, those are the ones who, and people like them. They might, maybe.
I don't know, I'm just throwing it
Yeah,
out
they know
there.
some for sure.
Okay, so how do we,
I think we make a motion to remove, I'll say I move to approve that we proceed with the RFP for a feasibility study, not to exceed, what's the dollar amount that we want to use?
20 grand?
That's where I'm coming from, I don't have a dollar amount, and that's why I'm asking for this fair.
David, do you have an estimation in terms of other districts or other vocational schools that have gone through this process in terms of what the?
All the colleagues I interact with are already regionalized. There's already a system. The only, and that's why I tried to ask the question to Mars, and they had the right answer. They wouldn't give us the answer of how much to expect.
Yeah.
I do know that they're working up in the Pioneer Valley region, Pioneer Valley, Malahar. They're looking at creating a super regional. I just don't know how to find what that's costing those districts.
I don't want us to spend more than $50,000. That's a number that kept coming up tonight. It's the trees, it's the, isolation room and stuff, whatever. So if we say not to exceed 50,000, it doesn't mean we have to spend 50,000. Then we turn it back to Crystal and we say, okay, we want to proceed with the RFP. We don't want to spend more than, it cannot be more than 50. How much is in our trustee line item and what's the simplest we can make this? That's my motion.
I would second that motion. You got all the feeling.
I move that we proceed with the feasibility, with the RFP for a feasibility study not to exceed $50,000 and authorize Ms. Fairman to,
I would add.
Fine tune it.
just add a 50,000, not to exceed $50,000, yes, thank you. And then we take over on our subcommittee and proceed from there. And we always come back to the board. We're not doing anything
Right.
without coming back to the board.
Yeah, no decisions there. Absolutely. Right.
Second.
I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
So future business, August 22nd is the ribbon cutting for the new building. September 16th, our regular Board of Trustees meeting. We are not going to have a meeting in August.
Wait, it says discussion possible vote.
For the August.
Oh, excuse me, I missed that. Discussion possible vote, August meeting date. I recommend not having it personally.
Can you say why?
Yeah, because we don't need to, because we don't have business coming before this in August. So I recommend that we don't have a meeting, that's all.
I recommend that we do, because I think running this district is a 12-month operation. School starts in August, folks will be back here. If we wait till September, I know that the past 3 years, I felt like I'm playing catch-up when we come back in September. I'd like to meet, to keep the ball rolling on things that we're moving on.
Are we a meeting of one, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's on the phone.
I like yours, Julie's suggestion of maybe having a quick meeting after the ribbon cutting ceremony. So what is the ribbon cutting ceremony going to consist of? They're going to be a little bit of reception and lunch. What is?
There would be some speakers, the ribbon cutting, obviously photo ops, and then I would recommend them open up the building, almost like we did with the animal building, or a little open house walkthrough. I just want to remind the board that's also an official work day for the staff. We have the new student orientation going on. I would not expect food because the cafeteria is trying to serve all the new students and their families. It's going to be a very busy day on campus cafeteria today, so.
You have to find an alternate site because there'll be math testing that will be taking place in here.
So not so feasible.
It would be difficult for the school day to have myself, Mr. Bianca,
Okay.
the use of the
Expands
facilities.
the question. I hear what both my associates are saying. I mentioned earlier that I was in favor of not, but I hear what Julie's saying. This is a 12-month operation. You made a comment that other districts meet more often. I wouldn't be adverse, and I throw it out there, of meeting more than once a month, but we need to.
Not saying more than once a month, just once every month.
Okay.
Not taking a month off, is all I'm putting out there.
Yeah. Okay.
When people are sick or people are out of town in Chicago or in different places and they don't come to the meeting still goes on if it's necessary. I'm just saying that I've already made plans for myself, not planning on August meeting.
Okay.
So that's me, I may not be here.
That's fine, and that's why moving to the hybrid, even if we can't make it physically, makes it available for us to attend. I am changing my thought, and I would agree we should have an August meeting. So, what was the potential date? Is that?
That's up to the board. Traditionally, the board meets on the third Tuesday,
Right.
which would happen to be Tuesday, August 19th.
I have an evening room. That's the breakfast day too. I'm okay. So why don't we plan to have a meeting and who can attend can attend?
Do I make a motion to, is that what you're saying?
Sure, I move that we hold a meeting in August, on the third Tuesday.
August 19th.
August 19th. I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Any opposed? Dr. Bonner?
I said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I
Mr.
already have it
Kaling
on the calendar.
opposed, all right. Understood. So, is that quorum, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see.
So another meeting on October 21st, another meeting on November 18th. Motion to adjourn, then, Donna?
Yes, to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone, for a spirited conversation. No way.